Alright, it's July 28th, 2021, and I just left on a road trip, a 3,000 mile plus road trip, solo by myself. Just leaving Portland area right now, headed to Conde, South Dakota, which is a 21-hour drive, and then I'll be headed up into North Dakota and then back over to Montana, and then back home 11 days from now. But the purpose of my trip is to pick up my dad's cremated remains to bring them back home. And this trip will be my final closure with my dad. So, my dad, Denny Adams, he and I had a different relationship in the sense that we had times when, when I was growing up, when things were good and we were close, and he was a good dad, and even though he and my mom divorced when I was, I think, second grade, so I've got just very few little memories of when they were actually married and we were all living together, and I do actually remember a few things when I was in that time frame. I guess it would be second and third grade, but anyhow, after that, we had times when my dad always had, visitation. My mom was the custodial parent, and then ultimately she was remarried, and I was raised primarily, by her and my stepfather Earl, but I'd spend weekends and sometimes longer at my dad's and with my dad and all that. A lot of times it was good. We would do fun stuff, go hunting and go different stuff. A lot of times it was not so fun. So I'm going to keep this video. I'm choosing to use this almost as like a memorial service for my dad. So I want to keep it positive. So there's a lot of bad memories, and I'm going to choose to share the good memories. There may be a few things I sprinkle in here and there because they'll be relevant to what I'm talking about, but I want this to be positive. I want this to be a positive memory or positive account for anybody who might watch it, my family or whatever. But also want to have it reflect positively on my dad. So, there's an old saying that if you look for the bad in someone, you're going to find it. But if you look for the good in someone, you're going to find that too. So that's one of the things I've been doing a lot of, is especially, and I'll talk more about it later on, but I've been remembering and looking for the good. So I hope to share those things. So in general, I'm just getting started, but my dad passed away December 29, 2019. And he was in Conde, South Dakota. About 6 months earlier, he had a pretty bad stroke that was debilitating, and he lost virtually all of his mobility, and lost a lot of his speech. And he was having a lot of, mental, in terms of memory and stuff like that losses. There were times when he was right on, like you'd be talking to him and he was like, he was right there with you. He knew what day it was, all the current events, and he's right on the same page as most people are when you talk with him. then other times we talk with him, and in his mind, he's back somewhere in the past, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. There were times when I'd be talking to him, and he literally thought he was still back in Montana, even though he's in South Dakota and had been for many years. So, he was experiencing issues like that on top of a lot of, health problems, and then had Parkinson's disease. And so anyway, he had a lot of both, I guess call it mental as well as physical issues. But the stroke really pretty much knocked him out. Like I said, he was doing some physical therapy, but he wasn't a very good patient. And at one point, he thought he could get out of bed and walk, and he ended up breaking his leg. And anyway, he basically just went downhill from there. And before long, he was on hospice. And I went and saw him one last time, and I'm going to be talking about that here a little bit later on. But then he passed away ultimately December 29th, 2019. So this was in Conde, South Dakota, as I mentioned, and so they have a lot of snow there. So it wasn't a situation where I could just get in the car and drive over there. It's not only a 21-hour drive on good roads, but it was just not feasible to do that at the time. The closest airport would have been Minneapolis, which was about a 4 to 5 hour drive one way on good roads again. So I was going to go over in summer of 2020, and we were going to get basically bring back his remains, and I'll talk more about that. But I'm bringing him back to be interred in Willamette National Cemetery, which is where someday I will be buried when my time comes. And so I'm going to do that. So we were going to have a little memorial service, a memorial gathering for certain family members and anybody who wanted to be there. But because of COVID, we weren't going to be able to do that. And so everything got delayed, and I wasn't able to make the trip over. So even though it's a year and a half ago now, finally things are lining up for me to make this trip. So in lieu of a kind of a memorial service, this is going to be kind of my memorial service to my dad. I'm going to have a lot of windshield time, so I'm going to talk about a lot of memories, and it's just going to be wonderful. I'm going to pick up my dad's urn in Conde, spend the weekend. Today's Wednesday. I should be in Conde. It's Wednesday evening. It's about 8 o'clock Wednesday evening, so I'll be in Conde sometime on Friday and spend the weekend with my dad's wife, Kathy, and just spend some quality time with her, and then either Sunday or Monday take my dad's urn, and then since I'm over there anyway, I'm going to be visiting essentially 3 different cemeteries up in North Dakota. One of them is in Catherine, North Dakota. One of them is in Oriska, North Dakota, where I have family members, and so stay tuned for that. The main one is in Valley City, North Dakota, which was kind of where the original homestead was for my ancestors, going back to my great-great-grandparents, Carl and Wilhelmina Prieb, that came over from Germany. So I'll talk more about that. I've done a lot of research, not a lot, but I've done some research. Um, so I'll talk more about that. But it's going to be a time, and so not only them, but then my great grandparents, which was Gustav and Olga Adams. That's where the Adams, where I know the Adams line came from, as far as I'm concerned. And they came over. Gustav, who would have been my great grandfather, came over from Russia and married my great grandmother Olga. So they're both buried there. And then one of their children was my grandfather George Adams. So he's somebody that I was able to meet and get to know a little bit as a kid. So he's buried there too. So that's going to be an important thing for me to be able to go and pay my respects there. So anyhow, I'll get more into it a little bit later, but that's what I'm doing. And then after that, those cemetery visits, I'll be also meeting a cousin who I never met. His name is Dean Bresky, so I'm looking forward to meeting him and his parents. And then I'll head back over to my hometown of Great Falls, Montana. I'll be visiting my dad's former homes in Rainsford, Montana, as well as a business. He had a truck stop restaurant that he ran and gas station. So I'll be visiting. I'll be going through there with him, as well as a cabin that he had in Limestone Canyon. So really looking forward to that as well. So and then I have next week on August 6th, I have my 35th high school class reunion in Great Falls. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well. And then after that, I'll be coming back home. So anyhow, stay tuned. I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll be adding more video when I get home. My son Jordan, who's a wizard at editing and video and all this stuff, it's so over my head. He's going to help me put this all together, so into some sort of a finished product. So anyway, I'll be talking to you later.